At Manchester Arena, 45,000 people were jumping to the most electrifying part of Crazy Train when Ozzy Osbourne suddenly stopped. Microphone in hand, he froze center stage, his eyes locked on a single point in the front rows. There sat a little girl with a handmade cardboard sign in her hands. The sign contained only a few words, but those words carried the most powerful message Ozzy had seen in his 50-year career. No one could have known in that moment that this little girl's story would create a revolution in the music world and change the lives of millions of children. But the real secret of the story lay in what Lucy had written on that sign. 8-year-old Lucy Martinez was one of the patients in the oncology ward at Manchester Children's Hospital. She had only been receiving bone cancer treatment for 6 months, but doctors had made it clear to her aunt that her condition was critical. The purple bandana on her head tried to hide the hair loss from her latest chemotherapy, while the port catheter in her small arm was a constant reminder of her unhealing pain. Her handmade cardboard sign carried a special message she and Aunt Sarah had prepared together until 2 a.m. Ozzy, you are my superhero. My last wish is to see you. Lucy. Her aunt knew just how risky it was for her to come to this concert. Lucy's immune system was severely weakened from chemotherapy, and the risk of catching an infection in such a large crowd was extremely high. Lucy's connection with Ozzy actually ran much deeper. Her mother, Maria, had died in a car accident when Lucy was still a baby. Her father, Roberto, unable to cope after Lucy's cancer diagnosis, had abandoned her to Aunt Sarah and disappeared. Sarah, a 34-year-old single nurse, had taken Lucy in as her own. She worked at the hospital, stayed with Lucy through the nights, trying to be both mother and father to the child. During the nights Lucy cried after her first chemotherapy sessions, Sarah had tried playing different types of music for her. Children's songs, lullabies, classical music. Nothing worked until one night, by chance, Ozzy's Dreamer came on. That night, Lucy smiled for the first time. "Auntie, who is this man? His voice is so beautiful," she had said. Sarah was surprised because Ozzy Osbourne was probably the last person anyone would describe as having a beautiful voice. But to Lucy, it was. From that night on, during every chemotherapy session, every painful night, every frightening moment, she listened to Ozzy's song. When she listened to Mama, I'm Coming Home, she remembered her mother. With Shot in the Dark, she conquered her fears. With Dreamer, she built dreams for her future. Dr. Emily Richardson said she had never seen anything like this in medical literature. We know music has healing effects, but Lucy's response to Ozzy's music is extraordinary. Her pain levels drop. She tolerates chemotherapy much better. Getting concert tickets hadn't been easy. These tickets were far too expensive for Sarah's nurse's salary. But when Lucy's condition worsened, doctors had the final wishes conversation with her. Lucy's only wish was to see Ozzy. Sarah had spent her savings, gone into debt on her credit cards, and bought front-row tickets. When they arrived at Manchester Arena, Lucy was breathless. Despite being in the front row, the crowd was overwhelming her. Sarah formed a protective barrier around her, trying to create space. Lucy clutched her sign tightly, never taking her eyes off the stage. "Auntie, he's going to come, isn't he? He's really going to come?" she kept asking. Sarah replied, "Of course he'll come, sweetheart. Ozzy is coming to see you," while praying silently inside. When the concert began, the arena went wild. As Ozzy took the stage, he launched into Bark at the Moon with that legendary energy. Despite his age, he was conquering the stage, still seeming to possess that wild spirit from his youth. "Bloody hell, Manchester! How are you doing tonight?" he roared, and the arena erupted in massive noise. As Tony Iommi played those familiar Black Sabbath riffs on his guitar, the drums and bass made everything vibrate. Lucy had been standing up until then, but when War Pigs began, her strength started to fade. Aunt Sarah lifted her into her arms, and Lucy rested her head on Sarah's shoulder, her eyes fixed on Ozzy on stage as she continued listening to the songs. When they played Iron Man, Lucy's eyes lit up. This was one of her favorite songs. Her lips moved as she sang silently along. The concert continued for an hour and a half. When Crazy Train began, she tried to stand up but looked like she might fall. Sarah held her tightly. That's when Ozzy stopped the song. He stood frozen in the middle of the stage, his eyes focused on a single point in the front rows. While the band members tried to understand what was happening, 45,000 people fell into silence. When the stage lights illuminated Lucy's sign, Ozzy's world stopped. That cardboard sign read, "Ozzy, you are my superhero. My last wish is to see you, Lucy." When he read the words, "last wish," Ozzy's heart clenched. This little girl must be sick, maybe even dying, and her last wish was to see him. He gripped his microphone tightly and walked to the front of the stage. His voice cracked. Wait a minute, everybody. There's a little princess down here. Yes, you sweetheart. The one with that beautiful sign. What's your name, love?" Security didn't know what to do, but the urgency in Ozzy's voice left no room for debate. Lucy tried to stand up, trembling, and thanks to the microphone they gave her, her voice reached the entire arena. "I'm Lucy Martinez! I love you so much, Ozzy!" Ozzy dropped to his knees, sitting on the stage. "Lucy, darling, can you read what your sign says again?" Lucy held her sign high and read, "Ozzy, you are my superhero. My last wish is to see you." In that moment, the entire arena was plunged into silence, because everyone understood that this little girl might be in the final days of her life. Ozzy stood up and signaled to security. "Bring Lucy up here, very gently. She's my special guest tonight." Mike Peterson and his team immediately sprang into action. They were very careful as they brought Lucy onto the stage. When the little girl reached Ozzy's side, the rock legend immediately knelt down, getting to her eye level. "Hello, Lucy. I'm Ozzy. But you already know that, don't you, love?" Lucy nodded, her eyes sparkling, but fatigue was also visible in them. "Lucy, can you tell me what you're fighting with?" Ozzy's voice was full of compassion. "Bone cancer," Lucy said. "But doctors say I might get better if I stay strong." "Your songs make me strong." Ozzy remained silent for a moment, then began speaking in that familiar Brummy accent. "You know what, Lucy? I've been fighting my demons for 50 years. Different demons than yours, but demons nonetheless. And music saved my life. Maybe it can save yours too." Lucy's eyes widened. "Really? Music can save people?" Ozzy smiled. "Oh yes, love. Music is magic. It's the most powerful magic in the world. And you know what? You're teaching all of us here tonight about real courage." "Lucy, which is your favorite song of mine?" Ozzy asked. Lucy answered without hesitation. "Dreamer, because that song tells me never to give up on my dreams. Even when I'm very sick, I dream that I'll get better and maybe sing with you one day." When he heard those words, Ozzy's eyes filled with tears. He stood up and turned to the microphone. "Manchester, this little warrior here, Lucy Martinez, is about to teach us what real dreaming means. Lucy, would you like to sing Dreamer with me?" The arena went wild. 45,000 people were on their feet, applauding and cheering. Lucy's Aunt Sarah watched through tears. Tony Iommi prepared his guitar. Drummer Tommy Aldridge set his rhythm. As the familiar melody of Dreamer began to rise, Ozzy pulled Lucy close to him. They shared the microphone. "I'm just a dreamer. I dream my life away." When Ozzy started the song, his voice was different than usual. Softer, more compassionate. Lucy quietly joined in. But in the second verse, something unexpected happened. Lucy began singing alone. "I'm just a dreamer who dreams of better days." Her voice was weak, but so sincere that the 45,000-person arena held its breath. Everyone was crying for Lucy. Even Ozzy had stopped singing, just listening to her. In that moment, the arena heard only Lucy's voice. When the song ended, the arena gave a standing ovation that lasted for minutes. Ozzy whispered in Lucy's ear, "You're the real rock star here, love. Never, ever give up." Then he turned to the microphone. "Manchester, I want you to remember this name. Lucy Martinez. She's going to do great things." Before Lucy left the stage, Ozzy made one more decision. He signaled to his guitarist, and Tony Iommi came onto the stage. Ozzy whispered something to him, and Tony nodded. "Lucy, this guitar," Ozzy said, pointing to the backup guitar in Tony's hands. has been with me for 15 years. Tonight, it's yours. But I have one condition. When you get better, and you will get better, you'll come back and play it with me on stage again." Lucy's eyes widened in disbelief. Was an Ozzy Osbourne guitar really becoming hers? "Really? For me?" she asked. "For you, love. For the bravest little girl I've ever met." After the concert ended, Ozzy invited Lucy and her family backstage. The real surprise was waiting for them there. Sitting in the dressing room, Ozzy began talking with Lucy's Aunt Sarah. "How is Lucy's treatment going?" he asked. Sarah couldn't hold back her tears. "Financially, it's very difficult, Mr. Osbourne. Insurance doesn't cover everything. Special treatments are very expensive. I'm a nurse, I work double shifts, but—" She couldn't finish her sentence. Ozzy raised his hand to stop Sarah. He pulled out his phone and called his wife Sharon. "Sharon, I need you to do something very important right now. I'm in Manchester with a little girl named Lucy. She's fighting bone cancer. Her family is struggling financially. I want you to find the best pediatric oncologists in the world and arrange everything. Money is no object." Sarah was shocked when she heard the phone conversation. "Mr. Osbourne, we can't accept this. It's too much." Ozzy smiled. "Sarah, love, I've been blessed with success and money. What's the point of having it if you can't help people who need it? Besides, Lucy here taught me something tonight that's worth more than all the money in the world." The next day, Ozzy made another unexpected decision. Instead of leaving Manchester, he stayed in the city and joined Lucy's trip to the hospital. When Lucy returned to the hospital for chemotherapy, she saw her unexpected visitor. Ozzy was sitting in the corridor with his acoustic guitar in hand. "Good morning, Rockstar," he said when he saw Lucy. "How are we feeling today?" Lucy's face lit up. "Ozzy, you came to the hospital." Ozzy smiled. "Of course I did, love. I told you I'd be here for your fight." Lucy's doctor, Emily Richardson, had initially been concerned about having a famous musician in the hospital. Hygiene rules, patient privacy, the risk of attracting media attention. But when she noticed the change in Lucy when she saw Ozzy, she changed her mind. Ozzy played soft melodies with his acoustic guitar in the small hospital room. The acoustic version of "Dreamer," "Mama, I'm Coming Home." Other sick children and their families had gathered outside the room when they heard the sounds from the corridor. A small child, maybe 6 years old, asked his mother, "Is that really Ozzy Osbourne?" When Ozzy heard this, he opened the door. "Would you like to join us for a little concert?" That day, Manchester Children's Hospital's oncology ward transformed into a mini concert hall. 2 months later, Lucy's cancer had gone into complete remission. Doctors described the situation as unexpected rapid recovery. But Lucy's explanation was simple. "I stayed strong because Ozzy was with me. His songs healed me." When she was discharged from the hospital that day, Ozzy was by her side again. Nurses, doctors, and other patient families couldn't hold back their tears as they saw them off. "Lucy," Ozzy said as they left the hospital, "now the real adventure begins. I want to show you something very special." 3 days later, Lucy found herself in front of Ozzy's childhood home in Birmingham. "This is where it all started, love," Ozzy said, pointing to the old street. "Right here on Lodge Road, a working-class kid with big dreams, just like you." Lucy looked around. Ordinary houses in an ordinary neighborhood. "But Mr. Ozzy, you became famous." "I'm just what?" Ozzy asked. "You're just a warrior who defeated cancer. You're just a little girl who inspired 45,000 people. You're just someone who reminded me why I make music." They spent that day with Lucy in Birmingham. Ozzy's first workplace at the slaughterhouse, the garage where Black Sabbath held their first rehearsals, the pubs where they played their first concerts. At every stop, Ozzy told a story. "You see, Lucy," he said as they reached their final stop, "dreams aren't about where you start. They're about how far you're willing to fight for them. You've already won the biggest fight of your life." 6 months later, Lucy had completely recovered. But the greatest gift Ozzy had given her wasn't health. It was self-confidence, hope, and an unshakable belief that dreams can come true. Lucy was no longer just a sick child. She was a survivor, an inspiration, a reminder that music really can save lives. Years passed, but that night at Manchester Arena was never forgotten. Lucy is now 16 years old, completely healthy, and studying medicine at Manchester University. But here's the most surprising part of the story. Lucy is no longer just on the receiving end of healing, but on the giving end. Every summer she volunteers at Manchester Children's Hospital and tells her story to newly diagnosed children. "When I meet scared kids," Lucy says, "I tell them about the night Ozzy stopped his concert for me. I tell them that miracles happen when you least expect them. In that hospital room now hang photos of Lucy with Ozzy. New sick children look at those photos and find hope." Today, the Lucy Effect programs are being implemented in over 50 hospitals worldwide. Music therapy and oncology teams work together, giving sick children a chance to heal not just with medicine, but with music. "I came here when I was 8 years old too," Lucy tells newly diagnosed children. "I was very scared too. But look, now I'm here, I'm healthy, and I'm helping other children who are on the same journey as you." In every word she speaks lives the spirit of that little girl's cardboard sign: hope, courage, and the determination to never give up. From that day forward until he was 76 years old, Ozzy told Lucy's story. "Music doesn't just entertain," he told crowds. "It heals, it saves, it transforms. Lucy taught me that the real magic happens when you use your gift to light up someone else's world." If this story has moved you, hit that like button and share it. Because Lucy's story may be complete, but the light she spread continues to inspire new stories every day. Sometimes a single moment when a rock legend stops his concert can change millions of hearts. And sometimes the courage of an 8-year-old girl can remind the entire world of the power of hope.